Good morning, and welcome to a special edition of Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and I am joined today in the studio by Kimberly Clemens, and she is going to talk about a new show that she's going to premiere here at WHPR entitled Chats and Chuckles. But before we get to that part, I just want to welcome everybody, to the show today. And we're also going to be joined later in the hour by Mr. Norman Clements of Detroit Change Initiative. And before this half an hour is up, we're also, I was going to have as one of my special guests today, Dr. Savina Taylor, and she's a pastor. And she's having a revival the 12th of October at the newly erected band shell there at Palmer Park, right there, almost adjacent to where the 12th precinct is at. But she's going to talk a little bit about that. She was a little, wasn't able to come into the studio today, but she's going to call in about 10:15 to, give the information about her revival. She did one a couple of years ago in Southfield, and it was phenomenal. She had asked me to open the revival up with prayer, and she had a couple of special guests at her revival, one being a gentleman named Ernest Harden, who you've seen on a lot of the shows like the Jeffersons and Sanford and Son and other programs like that. And you also saw Florence was her other guest. Everybody knows Florence from the Jeffersons, but she was there along with her daughter, and she was there, and she was taking pictures and autographing pictures with a lot of her fans that know her from, not just from the Jeffersons, but also from 227. So we had a great time. I mean, a lot of good preaching, good messaging, a lot of good songs. And when she calls in today, she'll be able to tell a little bit about how, much she would enjoy having you to come and participate in the revival that her church is going to have. But I'm not going to take that from her. I'll let her do all of the announcing about that. But today we're going to, kind of mix it up a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about this new show called Chats and Chuckles with Kimberly Clemens. I'll do a little bit of intro about Kimberly Clemens. I met her several years ago in Boston, Massachusetts at a NAACP convention, and didn't know her from Adam, didn't know the name, didn't know the smile, didn't know anything about her outside of just that she was, going to be there at the convention. And we met along with a gentleman named Marvin Franklin, Ruby Richards, Ebony Elmore, and Pastor John Hearn Jr. And when I, laid eyes on Kimberly Clemens, I'm like, who is this? I don't recognize her, not from all of the other people that are part of Western Wayne County NAACP. And she hit that infectious smile on me, and it was like, I was just, I was one ever since. So, and she's a great person. She's a great mother. She's a great wife. And she's got a great, great family that surrounds her, that loves her, and knows just how much she is appreciated, not just in the household, but also in the community. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Kimberly Clemens. Kimberly,
hey,
welcome
Darwin.
to Truth to Power today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it is a plum-pleasing pleasure to have you here on the show. And that's one of the purposes, too, today is to give Kimberly a chance for you to get acquainted with her and to, kind of like to do a little teaser,
Yes.
to tease folks a little bit about what you are going to expect when you tune in to Chats and Chuckles when it premieres. But Kimberly, tell our viewing and also the people that may be listening, tell our audience a little bit about who Kimberly Clemons is.
Well, Kimberly is just Kimberly. I'm just me. I am, first of all, I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful. God has done a miracle in my life. And to sit here today to see what's happening on this show, I'm truly grateful. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer July 29th, 2024. And for them to tell me that I had ovarian cancer, my first thought was, whatever. My God is a healer. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
Amen, amen.
I'ma just pray and trust God. And they gave my husband this long name for this cancer. And when he looked it up, it said 5 to 6 months was all that a person would live. So I said, whatever. God is my healer. And I'm going to trust God. So I'm a person of faith. I'm a woman who trusts God. I love God. I love what God has done in my life. Now, before that diagnosis, I was doing so many things. Like you said, we were in Boston. I was traveling. I was doing missions. I had just come off of the mission field in Africa. Just living. Having a great time, not sick, not anything, just living. And to get that diagnosis, it really made me kind of sit back and say, whatever. God is a healer. I knew God to be a healer for small things. My stomach hurt a little bit here and there. I've had a headache or had, gotten a cold, and I knew how to pray and say, okay, God, I'm sick, help me. But this time it was like, no, God, I know God is a healer, And I went through chemo and just had to trust God with that and had to have surgery, a hysterectomy. And through it all, to have my husband with me side by side, really living out the vow.
What's your husband's name? Let's give him a shout out.
Randall Clemons. Randall Jerome Clemons is his name. And he stuck by me like never before. And to have that, I got to experience, how your vows say, in sickness and in health. Mm-hmm. And I never paid that attention. Being married, we're married 28 years. So I'm not walking around saying in sickness and in health, or, if I had a headache, I'm in sickness and in health. And I never thought about that until this time.
Well, you don't think about the severity when you say those vows,
Absolutely.
Sickness and in health. A lot of times, like you just said, it could be just a stomach ache. Could be just, cramping or, something like that.
Yes, something small, but kind of,
important
to you.
That's not something that will really, have something to develop where you got to go into the hospital and have a lengthy hospital stay.
Yeah, or even something that you had to stay, like just something that wasn't as serious.
Exactly.
Maybe serious it was serious, but not that serious.
Well, it's just like you were saying, when they gave that word to your husband as to what they
talk about 5 or 6 months.
Right.
Like,
and
no.
I mean, when you hear that, so how did your husband react? I mean, you said how did your husband
So
react?
we laugh at it today. My husband was literally trembling. He really was nervous. He was very afraid. He was shocked. And he told me, he said, and then, when the doctors, gave you that term, you went to sleep. Like you just turned over like nothing was wrong or nothing. Mm-hmm. I said, because I had to hear God. I didn't want to hear what the doctors were saying. I didn't even want to entertain that. Mm-hmm. But I did know, the doctors, and I will say I had some of the best doctors I've ever encountered. And these doctors really did care. And they gave me that diagnosis, though I didn't claim that I had it. I didn't say I had it. I listened to what they said. I followed instructions to the best of my ability, but my focus was really on God. I didn't worry, not one time. I didn't cry. I did ask God. I asked God. Well, I didn't ask. I said out loud, I know good and well you didn't let me live to be 53 years old to take me out of here at 53. I did say that, which is kind of equatable to why me?
Yeah.
So I did do that. And I did it without any remorse. I did it, without any shame. I'm going to ask God a question, and God is God. He answered me,
Well, the good thing about it is that, we can't lose faith in God's ability because, as people always say, if he brought you to it, he'll get you through it.
And that's my next point, as a minister, chaplain, a person who believes God, when someone was sick, I would go to the bedside. I would pray. I would tell them, be encouraged. I would, tell them, don't lose faith. And I found myself in the hospital where I initially, when I got diagnosed, they diagnosed me in the ER. And I stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks from that day. So during that time, I had to remember, I would sit at the bedside of people that was going through. Yeah. So now, if I could give it to them, absolutely. If I could give them that, I had to give it to myself. Mm. So the rest that I got during that journey was unbelievable rest. I really rested. I had no worries, none at all.
And see, that's the thing, because it's just like in sales, you have to have enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And if you look at the last 4 letters in the word enthusiasm, it's IASM. And that's an acronym for I am sold myself on whatever the product is that you are trying to get somebody to buy into. And that's the thing, because a lot of times people don't really realize there's a lot of people that may not be actually preachers or religious individuals, but they sound like they're preaching. Like parents may tell us, okay, if you get your education, you can get a good job. Or if you keep practicing sports, you may wind up being a professional ball player or athlete. But they would always tell you, and then treat people the way you want them to treat you.
You want to be treated. Yeah.
And that's the thing, in terms of say, you can't go and be of little faith if you're trying to encourage others to go and believe in God, have the faith, keep the faith, and to do that. So that's the important part. And then it's just so interesting. Now we are joined by Dr. Savina Taylor, who's also a person who believes in God.
Amen.
Dr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
We are welcomed and we are blessed to be joined by you. And we know that we were hoping we could have had you here in person. But if we can't get you in person, we can get you by voice and get you here with us in spirit. But I know you've got a event that's coming up on the 12th. And I just wanted you to get a chance to let our viewing audience to know what your event that you're going to be involved in on the 12th this month.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Detroit.
Good morning.
Are you all getting a clear signal? Because I'm getting an echo on my end.
Well, do you have this on speakerphone?
I do.
Okay, take us off of speakerphone, and that'll take the echo out.
Okay, it's off speaker now.
Okay. So we can't wait to hear what you got going on.
Morning.
We can hear you good.
I'm still getting an echo on my end.
You still get it?
I am.
We don't hear anything here, in the studio. You're kind of low in terms of say we can't really hear you that well. So you may want to come a little closer to your phone.
I am.
Now we hear you much better.
You know what? Maybe I'll try hanging up and calling back.
Okay.
Would that be
Try
okay?
that. Try that, and that
Okay,
might kind
I
of make
sure
a
will.
better connection
Thank you
right there.
much.
Okay.
Bye.
But Kimberly, it's just interesting because people have stories to tell, and that's one of the things that with her revival, that's what she does. Is allows people to come and tell their stories, about what happened. But I think I'm gonna just ask you one question before we get Dr. Taylor back on the line. When you went through your chemo, and now did you also have to go through radiation too, or just chemo?
No, they gave me a choice. Did you want to do radiation or chemo? And I said chemo because I had not heard of radiation from the doctors. They said chemo.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through that.
Okay. Well, we've got Dr. Taylor back on. Dr. Taylor, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I still have this echo, but I'm going to move on in the name of Jesus. For those of you who do not know, my name is Pastor Dr. Savina Lachelle Taylor. I am the pastor of Unity Mission Church. We are located at 1335 Oakland Boulevard, right across from Focus Hope. And I just want to extend an invitation to the entire Metro Detroit area. We are having a huge event October 12th of this year, Sunday, October 12th at 4 p.m. We're having an hour of deliverance crusade, and it's going to be at the Palmer Park Band Shell. And I don't know if you all are familiar with it, but it's near the Woodward 14-mile area, right behind the 12th precinct. So it's in a very safe area. And again, this is an hour of deliverance crusade where we are going to try and reach out to as many people as we possibly can to bring these mighty people to God. It's time for people to turn their hearts back to God. I don't know if you all see what's going on in this world. Unprecedented things that have never happened before. I mean, unprecedented weather events are occurring all over the world, as spoken of in the book of Revelation. Wars and rumors of wars, all of these signs. So God is commissioning me to bring as many people to Him as I possibly can. So that's what this crusade is all about. And also in this crusade, we're going to have, I know some of you have heard of nationally renowned Elder Marvin Miller. He's a great entertainer. He's been all over the world singing gospel. He's going to be there as our entertainment. And we have some of the baddest praise dancers in the city. Unity Mission praise dancers, they're going to be there as well. We have a live gospel brass band who will also be there. We're going to have free food and vendors, and we just want to come together in the name of Jesus and have a hallelujah good time. You know, we're going to have an uplifting, spirit-filled, God-driven service. I know in this day and time, a lot of people are feeling down and out. A lot of people are feeling low in spirit. That's the Holy Spirit trying to tell you that it's time to come back home to your Father's house. It's time for everybody to get a closer relationship with God. You know, there's only two ways you can go in this world, either God's way or the devil's way. For those people who say they'll stay neutral and not choose either side, you will have to choose. The devil will sift you over to his side. So I'm here again today to tell you that it's time to come back home to your Father's house. It's time to get a relationship with God, get closer to God, because we're living in perilous times. We're living in evil and demonic times, and it's time for people to come to your holy, holy Father, Lord Jesus. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. Again, I've been commissioned by God to bring as many people to Him as I possibly can. And again, I want to invite you all to our Hour of Deliverance Crusade, Sunday, October 12th at 4 p.m. And we decided to have it in the afternoon because I know there may be people who have to attend their own home church. And we're trying to get as many people. This ain't about just Unity Mission. It's about the children of God coming together on one accord. Because I'm a firm believer, when we all get together, one of us can chase 1,000 demons. Two of us can put 10,000 to flight. So you know what a lot of us gathered together can do. And that's what this city needs. That's what this country needs. I've never seen this country so divided. Well, you all see what's going on.
And you know, Dr. Taylor, that's
the verge of World War III, and it's just yes.
We just have to really, because we got to take a break. But okay. I want you to give the location of. We know it's going to be at the band shell on the 12th, starting at 4:00. But give the location to your church as well. Okay. So if somebody wants to hear a little bit of that powerful preaching that you do, the messaging that you do, you know, on a regular basis, every Sunday at your church, give the location to your church again.
The name of the church is Unity Mission Church, 1335 Oakman Boulevard, and that's in Detroit, right across from Focus Hope, right between 14th and LaSalle. Our service begins at 12 noon every Sunday, and everybody is invited. Again, Unity Mission Church, 1335 Oakman Boulevard in Detroit.
And one thing I'll say before we close the segment out with you, Dr. Taylor, is that the food is excellent. So you're going to get fed with the word, and you're going to get fed in your stomach. So your minds will be fed and your stomachs will be fed. So again, we look forward to seeing you, and we definitely hope that you have a great rest of the day, and we hope that your revival is something that's going to be joyous throughout the state of Michigan. We're not just limited to just Detroit. We're talking about the entire state. So again, we look forward to it. And then I'll also make that announcement again on the show next Friday, just to remind people, you know, about your, your revival. So again, thank you for being on the show today, and we hope you have a great rest of the day. You're very welcome. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. And when we come back on, we will have none other than my other co-host that always comes to the rescue when we need to get some information. And that is, I want to call him the doctor, but we'll just say Norman Clement. But we will be joined by Norman Clement when we come back from break. Stay tuned.
This November 1st, the Masonic Temple comes alive with Mighty Love, a Detroit salute to Hall of Fame icons, the Spinners. Join us for an unforgettable evening featuring top Detroit talent and special guests honoring the group's legendary sound and legacy. Doors open at 7 p.m. Tickets available online and at the Masonic Temple box office. Be there for Mighty Love, a Detroit tribute to the Spinners. You don't want to miss it.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Muscles, joints, or feet tired, achy, or distressed? Tried everything? Ringmaster Rubbing Oil is a vintage topical pain reliever, trusted for over 70 years, with a rich formula for the treatment of stubborn aches and pains. Packaged in a glass bottle for purity, our liquid can also be used in warm water for foot soaks and compresses. A little goes a long way. Try our time-tested formula, available in several sizes.
Make a donation to WHBR-TV and receive 2 2-ounce bottles of Ringmaster Rubbing Oil for $25. Call 313-868-6612.
Clean up on aisle 5. Sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabree, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help.
For more information, go to treasurer.waynecounty.com.
We're here to help.
All media platforms are engaged. Copy. Get ready to launch your show or product. Periscope ready. We're 5x5 ready to launch. Copy that. Trend worldwide across all major platforms.
Ignition. 3, 2, 1.
The world is waiting. Watkins Broadcasting. More than just TV.
Block time is available. Get yours. Call 313-868-6612. That's 313-868-6612. Executive producer R.J. Watkins. Program director Henry Tyler. 107.5 FM. WGPR HD3. Radio we can see.com.
Again, and you are watching a very special edition of Truth to Power, and I am joined in the studio here with Chaplain Kimberly Clemens, and the man is all about town, and that is Mr. Norman Clemens. Norman Clemens, welcome to Truth to Power today.
Thanks for having me
again. And Norman, we go back a ways, because when Truth to Power first was birthed here at WHPR TV as a opportunity to bring some great people in from all over the country. The concept of Truth to Power was birthed, and I knew I needed a couple of good people to accompany me on that journey. And first name that came to mind was Norman Clemens. And the other name that came to mind, I didn't know how much she was going to be able to be a part of this journey, but she has been a monumental part, a valued part of this journey, and that is the current Washtenaw County Treasurer, Miss Letitia Sharp. So again, thank you both for allowing Truth to Power to be in the rooms, the living rooms, the dining rooms, and the other rooms, throughout their homes. But we're thankful that we are still being viewed and still allowing us to get our messaging across to everyone that hears the sound of my voice and sees the people that we have on the show. But Norman, I know we've got Kimberly Clemens on the show with us today. Kimberly has got a event that's coming up on October the 5th. So that's 2 days from now, this coming Sunday. And it's going to be at the location that used to be when we were growing up, Norman, there used to be Herman Gardens.
Right.
And, Herman Gardens right there, Joy Road and Southfield Freeway. But now they have a new name for it. They've, revamped it, did a lot of beautification to to Herman Gardens. And now it's called what, Kimberly?
It's called Garden View Estates.
Garden View Estates.
Yes.
It's a long way from being Herman Gardens way back in the day, Norman.
Yeah, that's right.
But tell us a little bit about the Garden View Estates event that you are putting on this coming Sunday.
Well, first of all, the nonprofit that I have is called The Girls Factory. So I run my program over in Garden View Estates. And that program helps young girls, have confidence, be courageous, be culturally aware. And we take some of the young ladies from that community, build them up. We do cooking sessions. We meet powerful women in the community that maybe have had some challenges, over the years, but overcame those challenges. So we introduce those young ladies to that. We also do anti-domestic violence rallies. We do walks. We do things that will help empower the young ladies. So if they ever encounter that, they will have the resources that they need. They'll know how to stay safe, and hopefully they won't repeat a cycle, like that. So the Girls Factory is always looking to do things in the community. We bridge the young ladies with the seniors. So the seniors.
Why is that important? Why do you find that important?
I think it's important because of the wisdom that the seniors have, and then the joy that the young ladies that they can bring that to the seniors. It's amazing because the seniors at Garden View, they are phenomenal. They funny, they help, they teach the girls how to cook from scratch. They share stories. They let the girls know that the things that they're going through, it's not new. It's things that they went through. The young ladies bring a lot of life back to the seniors, over there. So it's important because that love that the young people have is shared with the same love that the seniors have. So they learn from one another.
And that's so interesting because, the seniors were young, younger once at one time too. So they had to learn from their moms and grandmoms, as well. Yeah. And when you mentioned that about cooking from scratch, that's the way my mother taught me. Like I didn't have the pancake mix that we go to the store and buy.
That's right.
We made it from scratch.
From scratch.
We had the flour, the baking soda, and all those things. And one misstep or one mistake, you got a crepe instead of a pancake. Right. And and then they would, my mother used to teach me in terms say about like when you're watching the pancake starting to to fry. And next thing you know, you're seeing the bubbles, popping up on the, on the pancake, and you're like, all right. And then my mother goes, all right, Darwin, hurry up, you got to flip it, And I'm like, but Mom, how come mine doesn't have that golden brown look that yours has, And the same thing when it came down to serving rolls, we go to the store and buy a package of 12 serving rolls. My mother used to go and get the yeast and do all that. So a lot of the things, like you said, we did from scratch.
Yeah, and it's so cool now because even their parents don't cook, that way. So when the young ladies learn that, they take that stuff back home and they can teach their parents, how to do it. So it's really good. And I love that Communities of Hope is a huge supporter. They, anything we do in that community, they support over at the different locations where they are throughout Metro Detroit. But at Garden View, it is, there's a lot of history there. There are a lot of people that still live there, that lived there when it was Herman Gardens. Yeah. So what we do in the community for October, we do a safety day. So we bring in organizations that portray safety. They give resources, they give the information so people can stay safe. So, of course, because I'm a chaplain with DPD, people always think, they do that. They come out because you're a chaplain. This is my 8th annual I've been a chaplain for 5 years.
Wow.
So before I became a chaplain, my family, we're the type of family that wherever we move, we go into the community and we go to the police department, fire department, go to the libraries, the local churches, and we're like, hey, the Clemenses are here. And they're like, who are you? Well, we're here. We're just serving. We come to serve. So I always would go into the community with the mindset, I'm here to help make it better than what it was before we moved there. And when we leave, I think that's always the goal. You want to make an impact, a positive impact in the community. So I was serving as a domestic violence advocate with the precincts. And I learned so much about domestic violence that I wanted the young ladies to be aware. So Safety Day is all about the community being aware. So not just about domestic violence, but anti-suicide, how to stay safe if you're walking and you see a dog. Right. Anything that has to do with safety. We also have fun stuff for the kids. We have different churches that come out to the community, because if you're in a community, you want to know, if you want some spiritual guidance, you want to know what's out there. Sometimes people may not have transportation, so they're not out looking, in that way, but they want to know what's out there. So we bring the resources to the community, and it's for that community. So we're not looking necessarily for the masses of Detroit to come out. We're looking for Garden View to come out. So come out of their homes, come into the community, meet the people that you may not have met throughout the year, or you wouldn't meet, but you'll meet them at this event. So it's always a good time. It's not just for children. It's for the seniors. It's for everyday working people. It's for men. It's for women.
That's what I was going to say. So
yep,
it's men and women.
Yep, it's resources where the kids will be packing their own backpacks. They'll have some unique things to put in there. It's just a good time. And what we do, Safety Day is so important because when you come out, you get to talk with people. You get to learn what's going on in the community. We'll be starting a block club.
Okay, awesome.
We'll be starting a block club. Again, it's Garden View Guardians. We'll be doing just different things for them to get connected with, resources. So the people that are coming out, they love to come out. I choose a Sunday because Saturday is always a very competitive day. You're running around, you got so much to do. And if you have kids, your kids are a part of all kind of things, or it could be a wedding, or it could be a birthday party, baby shower. Sundays are the days that I found that people are usually staying close to home. And if they're not going to service, they got their kids, the kids are at home. So we do our events on a Sunday. So it's going to be October the 5th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have different vendors that will be here. We have a tax vendor that's going to be on site. We have life insurance, which is so important in our community. We have food. We got face painting. We have pictures that you can take, just fun stuff for everybody.
So what are some of the other events, especially like when you said about the face painting for the young people, and then the food, the vendors and people like that. So what are some of the things in addition? I know you mentioned about somebody to help with taxes. What are some of the other events for the seniors?
Seniors, the seniors are always just loved on. When they come out, there'll be vendors that will cater to them. We have a health unit that's coming out that will take care of the needs. And actually, we have two that are coming out, where one is strictly to help with cholesterol. Okay. It's really important that these events should not take place once a year. Right. So we try to do things throughout the year, but we use October because October is really big for breast cancer awareness. It's big for anti-domestic violence. So we try to bring those things that will be helpful for people who may not be able to go downtown, for those type of resources. I'm so grateful that the city helps us. DPD helps us a whole lot. We'll be having a table where they'll be giving out gun locks.
That's what I was going to ask you about that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All of the support that I receive, I'm very grateful, for, because they don't have to do it. They don't have to do that, for us. But I'm so grateful for that.
Well, and that's the good thing, because Norman, as you've done a lot of these events, like what Kimberly is putting on, and you see a lot of the things that Kimberly's doing with like domestic violence, getting people more aware in terms of their surroundings, the safety part, knowing some of the, when it talks about like mental illness, knowing some of the signs to look for, not just from a coworker, but also from somebody in your family.
Right. But what Kimberly does is something that I've always and praised organizations like hers and others that do the work. She's not coming in to save the community. She's coming in and making an investment in building a relationship with the community. She's there 365. She's on the ground before time. You've been in chapter for 5 years. We're doing this for 8th year. Congratulations. You're doing this for 8 years. So 8 years, she's been in the community talking to each other. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What can I help? How could I be of service? And too many times, other big organizations that get the funding, get the support, don't do not a tenth of what she's doing. And I commend her on that, because a lot of these are organizations that are grassroots, grass seed organizations that are on the ground, that takes care of community. There's so many things that we look at and see, okay, why has crime come down? It's organizations like hers that come into the community and say, hey, let's take care of the seniors. Let's have that knowledge transfer from our seniors to our young ladies about how to cook, but also how to live. Talked about their experience, how they got through it, how they prosper, and how they can take that experience over there. And so that knowledge transfer, because we understand that today, our traditional grandmothers are not the traditional grandmothers back then. And so home is not home like it used to be anymore. And so getting that knowledge, the seniors feeling that, hey, let me talk to this young lady because I'm still here, and I got to pass this on to someone else. And that is a empathic compassion that we have in our community. And that is something that a lot of organizations overlook, but I thank God you're doing it, doing that work, and then it's needed. And you see the transitions going over there, Herman Gardens, but the new name, the new transition, the beautification over there, you see it happening. And that is something with work that happens, what her organization does, that you see it now. People say, oh, we just built it and it just happened. No, it doesn't happen like that. Right. Someone comes in that community and does the work.
Yeah,
and thank you.
And I will tell you, I've had people who really support what I do. Keno Smith, Dr. Black, the people, Bob Bill, Ryan Bill, all of the management over there. All I have to do is ask, hey, can I put on a winter wonderland for the seniors? And I bring the girls over there. We give the seniors gifts. We spend time with them. We do dinners with them. It's just fun. It's fun for us, but we really are making a difference, over there. Dr. Patman, just to be able to reach out to people, and then they come and support, because they do. They see the work that we're doing over there. And I did. I don't mind going door to door, saying, hey, I'm here to help you. Here's my telephone number. And people say, man, you give out your telephone number? Well, in ministry, that's what we do.
Right.
I don't have no reason to hide. I want to help people. I want to pray for people. I want to make a difference. So if that means you got to call me and ask me a few questions, I pray with you, whatever the case, I don't mind.
Well, and that's the important part, because a lot of times there's so much wisdom that not just that the young people can learn from the seniors, but there's wisdom that the seniors can learn from the young people.
Oh, absolutely.
As well. So it's a give or take, but the main thing that I think a lot of people need to do is listen more as opposed to communicate more, because communication is verbal and nonverbal.
Absolutely. It's very key.
And that's what people need to really understand, because sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
How you say it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kimberly, Norman, and what you do, Norman, in the community, what you do in the community, that people are always looking at you. And they're looking, being a young man, being a young woman, they're like, hey, you're always being looked at, and people are scrutinizing everything that you say and do. But then at the same time, you're also encouraging somebody to be like you in the things that you do, to be like you in the things that you do, Norman. And I've seen you, out in the community. I hope to see more and more of you, Kimberly, in the community doing some of the great things that you've been doing for the past, 8 or so years. And we definitely want to lift you up with your organization because it's so needed, especially with a lot of the young women and, that you mentor to. Because, some are growing up in households where they don't have fathers.
Right.
And fathers a lot of times teach their daughters about men and how men should treat them and the things that they shouldn't accept that a man may be doing,
Right.
in the household. So that leads back to that, what you were talking about with the domestic violence, situation. And one thing I'm going to ask you both too, why do you think that there's such because that's, we're seeing nowadays about a lot of people are resolving issues more physical in the households than mental, than having conversation and talking it through. They're getting out guns. We've had situations where folks have been stabbed, shot. I mean, all these things. So what do you say to folks when they're not knowing how to resolve issues with their partners? What would you say to them? Kimberly, I know you see this a lot as a chaplain, with DPD, and you see a lot, probably have to go with them to runs when they have had a domestic violence situation.
Yeah, well, not necessarily see it a lot, just with that, but just living.
Yeah.
Just living, being in ministry, like I said, I didn't just start doing this work. This is like over 20 years doing this work. So when you see it on your block, or I've seen it in my home, and to grow up like that, I always thought, I had thoughts about my mom, about, why she didn't leave, or why did she stay. And it wasn't until I got training when I was serving with AmeriCorps. I got that training, and it changed my whole perspective of how to think, how to help, how to be a shoulder, how to share resources, how to teach safety planning, to people. And it's not something that just started happening with society. Domestic violence has been happening since the beginning of time. It's domestic because it happens, within the home, within the family. Intimate partner violence that happens, between two people who are together, right? So when you see it, a lot of times we have judgmental attitudes. We are always telling people what they should do, or you should leave, or why are you staying? And that's not helping the situation. And why people do that, we don't know. We really don't know. Anger may take a person to a whole different level. A broken heart may take somebody to, change their whole personality. Mental illness plays a big part. But the question to ask is really, how can I help? What is it that I can do in my home? If I find it happening in my own home, what can I do? If it's on my block, how can I help? If my friend calls and says, this is what happened, or if I see something, if I see it with my own eyes, it's happening, how can I be a help? How can I be of assistance? What have I learned that I can share? What resources do I know about, or what resources can I look up to see if it will be a help versus, just having an attitude of, okay, that's happening to them, or why are they there doing that, or just being judgmental. I think an individual can do something positive better than they can do it, if they're being judgmental. And even the young kids, teach a child how to stay safe, not to get in it if it's a mother and a significant other, or a mother and a father, getting into it, or, whatever their home looks like. Teach that child how to live, how to stay safe, how to get out of there. That's the main thing, or that's another thing that we can think about.
Yeah, because that's a hard something, Norman. When we see those things,
it's very hard. And also, we're dealing with a community of dealing with past traumas, the traumas of prior bad behavior, learning, and for as men, we are not vocal sometimes. So I always encourage brothers, hey man, number one, there's always tools that you can use to help, but also if you feel that you can't do it, I always recommend our brothers to go therapy. Therapy is something very big that we, the phrase, I work out, it's my therapy, or I do this, it's my therapy. No, therapy is therapy. You need someone on the other side of you with training, licensing, or a pastor that's therapeutic and sit there and talk to you about some traumas that may be in your past that you haven't dealt with, or something that you have locked out that's back in your mind that it triggers. You don't know why you get upset when someone does this, or some past relationship that does this, and then how to react and how to grow from that. Because at the end of the day, one, we want you to keep you safe, yourself safe, but others around you safe. Absolutely. And so a lot of times with all the stresses that are going on in this world, it's okay to sit down and take some time for yourself, an hour a day, and say, hey, I need someone to talk to. I encourage not AI, but there are other programs that there are people who do these therapy services for free. And we pass that information out and say, hey, if you need someone to talk to, brother, a licensed therapist, there's some free services that you'll be able to have someone to talk to you and get a plan of action for you to take care of yourself.
And, and you bring a good point. We got to take a break, Norman, Kimberly, but, that's the thing, is to have a plan of action, and follow that plan, because that's sometimes what people don't do. They may talk to a therapist, and the therapist may give them a plan of action, but then you got to stay on it. And if you do find yourself falling short, you got to contact that therapist and say, hey, I'm sorry, but I didn't do such and such that you had advised me to do on this plan. But you got to stick to it, and then you got to know where your lifelines are at. And that's
absolutely, lifelines.
The lifelines. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Kimberly Clemens, Norman Clement. I'm Darwin Griffin, and we will be right back.
From the desk of R.J. Watkins, this is a WHPR editorial.
I'm Ariana Watkins, and for decades, my father, R.J. Watkins, has served our community with quality radio and TV service through WHPR and Roku. Today, I'm proud to stand beside him, continuing the legacy built on trust, innovation, and your support. We're here because of you, and we'll keep bringing you the best now and for generations to come. Thank you for supporting us and growing with us.
This has been a WHPR editorial.
Hey, I know you've seen them. Those sleek vapes that everyone says is better than smoking. Here's the truth. They're not. Did you know that in Michigan, 14% of high school students use e-cigarettes? That's a lot of people risking their life for a quick buzz.
Nicotine doesn't just harm your body, it affects your mind too. It can make depression and anxiety worse, and even change how your brain handles stress. You deserve better than to let a tiny device control your mood and your future.
You know, I thought vaping was no big deal until it starting affected my mood and focus.
Yeah, and did you know that kids who vape are more likely to smoke cigarettes?
But there's good news. You don't have to do this alone. Whether it's through friends, family, or a support group, there's always a way out.
Your health, your future, you're worth so much more than what vaping has to offer.
Detroit's got your back. Visit CUYFDcoalition.org for tools and support to help.
Watkins Broadcasting is going worldwide. Now you can watch Detroit's own WHPR on your TV from anywhere in the world. No matter where you are, you can stay in the know with WHPR TV and Roku. You can get your easy-to-install Roku box from wherever you shop for your entertainment gear. Once your Roku box is connected to your TV and internet, go to the channel store on the home menu of the Roku box. Enter WHPR TV in the search engine and add it to your channels. That's it. That's all you need to get the best in entertainment, news, and talk, no matter where you are. Roku brings all of your favorites to your TV. Netflix, Hulu Plus, Crackle, HBO Go, and now WHPR TV, Detroit Live. Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Block time is available. Get yours. Call 313-868-6612. That's 313-868-6612. Executive producer R.J. Watkins. Program director Henry Tyler. 107.5 FM. WGPR HD3. RadioWeCanSee.com.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
Back, and you are watching us live on WHPR TV, and you can see us on Roku, Amazon, see us on WHPS channel 15.2, and there's various other streaming sources that you can see us on as well. But the main thing is that we are really growing. We are appreciative of Watkins Broadcasting here at WHPR, appreciative of the legend here at WHPR. A lot of my guests, when they come into this, and onto the show, and they look and they see R.J. Watkins' great big picture up in the lobby, and they like, is that the new dance show, R.J. Watkins? They're like, yes. And then it was so funny. We had the deputy mayor of the city of Detroit, Malia Howard. She came and did my show one time, and she walked and she saw the picture of R.J. Watkins, and she said, R.J. Watkins, is that the new dance show? I said, yeah, that's the same R.J. Watkins. And she said, this is him? This is his station? Yeah, this is his station, WHPR. He and Henry Tyler. And so she looked at it and she was like, wow, R.J. Watkins. I said, come on, let's go on into the boardroom for a minute. She walked into the boardroom. She had her assistant with her. And next thing you know, she looked into the boardroom and she sees the legend, R.J. Watkins, sitting at the table in the boardroom. And she just, mouth dropped open. She started bowing and she started bowing and she started bowing. And she looked up at her assistant and she said, this is the man. And I've had so many other guests to come into this, into the studio and here at the station, and they see R.J. Watkins, and the first thing they want to do is like, oh, gotta take pictures. So they love to take pictures, and, and even one guest, she came into the show and she saw R.J. Watkins and she saw Henry Tyler, and she was like, just wait a minute, this the dance that Henry Tyler used to do on the show. She started to do this little dance, and I said, and this is the man here that used to do that dance. She met Henry Tyler, and she was like, wow, Henry Tyler, yeah, this is how he used to, and I had never seen Henry Tyler have such a big big smile on his face when she recognized, Henry and all of the contributions that he's done here at WHPR as well as WGPR. So we are very fortunate to have two visionaries, in HT and in RJ. Everybody's got initials. So I guess, Norman will be NC and Kimberly will be and now here it's interesting because we're joined by, I should bring him on there so he can show what he what he did, but we just had HT come into the studio for a minute,
right?
So we're not gonna have him come on and do that dance, but but like I said, they are legends, and they are the people that are the visionaries of WHPR here, but and then, again, we are so fortunate to be blessed with a great, staff of engineers that assist in our production. So we are fortunate to have, all around everything here in the studio, Mr. Tim Smith, and also joined by my fellow Cast Tech alumni, and that is Mr. Lorenzo Cox. So again, we just want to thank everybody, and then we also want to, Ms. Willis, our general manager, couldn't be here with us today, but she is here with us in spirit, and her hospitality, her smile, and just her presence radiates throughout WHPR. But I just want to, kind of go into, we're developing new shows. We would definitely love for you to come and, and advertise on the shows that we have, as well as the shows that are in development. And then also, if you'd like to sponsor the show, to contact Ms. Willis, and we can see about, letting you sponsor one of the shows, as well. But one of the shows that we've got in development here, and that is a show called Chats and Chuckles. And that is being developed by my special co-host today, Kimberly Clemens. And you can probably look and see the smile on her face, and when you get a chance to see her logo, that'll be the backdrop behind her when she does her show. It's going to probably put that smile on your face, and it's probably going to make you want to tune in and say, let me hear more, not just from Kimberly, but from her guests that she has on the show. But Kimberly, we welcome you to WHPR. We look forward to the type of shows that you're going to bring, and we know that you're going to bring some powerful, powerful guests to be on your show. So some of the information that you're disseminating out in your event, coming up this Sunday, I know you're going to have, and so many people, I was really fascinated with all the people that I see you posting pictures with on Facebook. Looked up, saw you with the Lieutenant Governor, saw you with Mama Shu with Avalon Village. I mean, just so much that I see you in the community. I thought me and Norman.
No, she famous. She famous.
Yeah.
She famous.
She ain't famous.
Yeah, you famous.
She's not famous.
So what is Chat and Chuckles about?
So Chats and Chuckles is exactly what it says.
Okay.
I want to say that first of all, I like to talk.
Okay.
I like to talk, and I like to talk about things that matter.
Absolutely.
And I find myself talking all the time. And one day I got invited onto a couple of podcasts.
Oh, okay.
And it was heaven for me. So I do have I'm a author.
Oh.
And I had this experience where I literally went on a book tour. Mm-hmm. So I was at the radio stations and they gave us the opportunity to talk and talk about our book and how we wanted to impact the community and impact people with our books. And I tell you, it was the best thing, for me. And I have a really good friend. She has a podcast. Her name is Vaquita Kennedy.
Vaquita Kennedy.
Yes.
UAW.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And
she's
a chaplain. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. She just became a chaplain. She's an amazing woman. And she had me on her show. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where I got that, you know what, I need to do this. And I talked to her about it. And she was holding me accountable for what I said I wanted to do. And then they diagnosed me. So I put it on the back burner. But during the whole time of healing, I kept hearing, you need to do Chats and Chuckles.
Okay. Okay.
And Chats and Chuckles is just really talking about things that matter, and not just matter to me, but matter to people, you know. So my guests, what matters to them, we'll talk about.
Okay.
And my slogan is, I'm bringing to life the chatter that matters.
That's it. So that's a good point, because sometimes, people ask me to do a podcast, and I say, yeah, we'll be bleeping a lot of things out here. So that's what I'm saying. But do you find this therapeutic when you sitting having those, like in those room conversations, you just talk about people like-minded, but just talk about everything? Do you find that like therapeutic, but also like relief to get something that you got to say to get out, and then the vibe people really want to hear what you're talking about, like that really matters?
For me, it's about, so I'm going to use Darwin as an example. So I didn't know Darwin when we went to that convention, Boston. Yeah, mm-hmm. we were in Boston. And when we met, Darwin and I can literally talk for hours. Mm-hmm. And we talk about the different things that are going on and that are happening, but not just how it's affecting us, but how it affects other people.
Right. So it's like, it doesn't just affect me, it affects the community. Right. I'm just trying to do a rhyme. Like, what was your catchphrase that you said that you had for your Chats and Chuckles?
Bring to life the chatter that matters.
Chatter that matters. Okay, go ahead.
I like that.
Go ahead.
Right, so
didn't like mine, but just like the chatter that matters. But go ahead.
That's good.
Right, and I can't say chatter that matter because my nieces and nephews told me, nah, like you sound like you trying to say cheddar. So don't do that. Pronounce it the way that you pronounce it. But
and cheddar, for those that might not know, is money. So go ahead.
Right, and I had to learn that. So.
And that's the one thing that when you were saying about what you're doing with the seniors and the young people is educating the young people about, some of the terms that we used to use, as well as them learning about some of the terms that the young people use.
And they keep me on my toes.
Yeah, young folks will do like all this stuff. You find out like you're onk or you born in 1900s. I'm like, what the 19? So you think about it like, y'all slick with it, okay?
Yes, but so I meet a lot of people when I'm out, and I also find that where I do ministry, which is in the underserved communities, they would never meet some of the people that I meet because they don't go to the different places that I go. Right. And I'm very intentional about where I go, and I want to meet people. Mm-hmm. I want to say that one thing that really inspired me about meeting people is when I became a member of Triumph Church, and I went into my pastor's office, and on his wall he had people that he had met. I was so fascinated by that. And the wall was filled with people that he had met. And I told myself, when I saw that, I said, I want to meet people. Mm-hmm. So I will always take a picture with a person that I had met. And I take that picture and I share it with the young girls. You know, I share it with the youth in the community. I tell the people who they are, what they stand for, and then I charge them to look up the person, find something about that person, because I think it's inspiring, you know, when you meet somebody that has done something great, and then you also get to hear about the challenges that they have overcome. And so many of us, you know, when we make mistakes or we do things that are not favorable, we hide. But when you hear about that from somebody, it can encourage you, and it also could help uplift you and empower you to be who you're supposed to be.
And absolutely. I think that's the great thing, that you're sharing that they're sharing their struggles and their triumphant things. So many people look at this Instagram and see the successes. But understanding and talking to those folks that they say, I may never meet them. So no, you get a chance to meet people who you're talking to and hear their struggles and how they persevere. I think folks want to see that, like, oh, I am going to struggle, but I can persevere also.
Right. And then, you know, they're people.
Right.
They're people. They're touchable. You know, it doesn't matter the title. It doesn't matter what their occupation is. They are people. They have feelings. You know, you got to be mindful of how you treat people. It doesn't matter if they're on a talk show or on a TV show or on the radio. They're people. So I want youth to really understand that they are, you know, some people may not want to be bothered or take a picture, but it shouldn't crush you. You know, it shouldn't make you feel like you're unworthy or you're nothing. It's that, you know, we have to be kind of understanding. You know, maybe it wasn't the right time, or maybe they were busy. You know, like I want the youth to understand, you know, how to communicate, how to understand that it's not the end of the world, how to understand that, okay, if you see somebody, you know, they're excited to see you too. You know, it's not just a one-sided, you know, thing. So my goal is to really bring that connection to people who may not get that opportunity to meet certain people of a different status.
And you're making such an impact, because even just the impact that you made on the station owner's daughter, Ariana Watkins, you know, and even like when you know, was talking to her one time, and then you just looked at our commercial break and you see the commercial with Ariana on the commercial.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I am one of those people, when I walked in the station and I saw the picture on the wall of RJ Watkins, I used to sit and watch, you know, the show, try to do some of the dances when I was younger. But to meet him is really like I believe like a God moment, because I would have never guessed that I would have met him. You know, I've heard the stories about, you know, he was sick, and I didn't even know if he was still alive because of the rumors, you know, that had went on in the community. Yeah. So to see him, I counted it as a blessing. And then to take a photo with him, I could take that photo home and, you know, show my husband, like, you don't know who this is. You know, I didn't even know my husband watched the dance show back then. So just to have that those things that happened back then to bring joy to today, you know, to me, that's kind of exciting and different, you know, for people to kind of see.
Yeah, it's just good, Norman, when you come into the station and you get a chance to see folks. And Norman, you brought people here to the show. You've been on the show with me, with some of the guests that we've had. And some of them are people that you know, that we kind of look at and we're like, wow, I didn't know. And I know you met guests that I've had here on the show, and it's like, wow, you know, you actually would be sitting right here next to the person after all these.
Like who? Tell me one person that would make you, or that has made you say, wow, they sitting right here with me.
Kimberly Clemens.
Yep, that's one.
Kimberly
Clemens. You know, we had like Haley Stevens here. I didn't get a chance to meet now Senator. I'm not stabbing now, but
Alicia
Slakis was here, and I didn't get a chance to meet her, but she was in the building. But also, just looking through my first time coming through, I said, wait a minute. Like the tapes, the acts that he would perform with in the mid-'90s, and So wait a minute, I remember that. So you reminiscing. Oh man, that was a time. I knew that. Boy, they had a time back here because you ask those. You want to ask those inappropriate questions like, oh man, like what was it like with them back in the day? Like you want to know like all the groups and the acts back then, and you see the pictures on the wall. You mean all the shows that you used to see. And it's like, well, wow! I saw all these shows on TV. Like, wow, and then one person go through here. So it's like a living history. Like it's a museum that you go through, that you see these walls here. And I feel honored to be here, just to have a conversation, talk about what's going on here. And so it's important to keep this platform like this, especially in Black media, because a lot of media traditional media today, you see them bending the knee. And this space right here, mostly Black media, we always have been the force out there that is, tell the truth sayer, no matter what obstacles in our way, giving people the facts on the ground, talking to the community, seeing what's out there. And then these are some spaces that are very important that definitely need to be invested in, because this is the last bastion of always say the last bastion of free information is always Black media. Because we're going to sit there and hold folks accountable and tell the truth.
Wow, and that's so powerful. That's really powerful.
And that's why I had him as one of my co-hosts when I first started Truth to Power, because some of the words that we use, our vernacular, is so similar. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things, Kimberly, that you'll find when you start doing your show, is that sometimes people, when they appreciate you, they emulate you, and they'll start taking on some of your mannerisms or even some of your colloquialisms, the words that you use. Like, say your catchphrase again for Chats and Chuckles.
Bringing to life the chatter that matters.
See, we're gonna wake up about 3 o'clock in the morning. Your wife gonna look at you and like, I'm sorry, honey, what did you say? Right. And you gonna be out the bond of the community, and you gonna be like, just the chatter that matters. Where'd I hear that from? And it's like, oh, that's right. That's what that lady that I met, Kimberly Clemens, said when we were doing the interview with her. Yeah. But that's the key thing, that you have to leave that impact on people. And Norman, as we've done many shows, Kimberly, as you start doing shows, you'll see that you make an impact on a lot of people, especially when you bring the facts out, to the community. And with what you're doing, Norman, what you do, I mean, that's how I got a chance to come in contact with Malia Howard, the deputy mayor of Detroit, at an event that you were involved in.
Yep, and so that was the early voting events or last year out there with the community party with the city of Detroit. They have another event coming up October 25th. They're doing the early voting with the elections that are going on right now, the Detroit municipal general elections. We have our mayors who are running, Councilwoman Mary Sheffield and Pastor Kidlock are running off as mayor, and you have several district races that are going up right now. Highly contested ones we're thinking about is District 2, and then also District 7 is a highly contested one with Denzel and Karen Winston out there, and so.
Denzel
McCampbell was on the show.
He was on the show last week. Him and Tyrone Carter. Because Tyrone Carter's running for
6
City Council in District 6 against Gabriela Santiago Romero.
Right, and those are highly races that are contacted.
And
right.
Denzel is 7. That's where I run my program.
In District 7, and so all this politics is all around us, but also community also leads in that politics, and I think sometimes. With the political situation we're in right now, I think people in this, we have to remind people, they work for you. Now I think that sometimes people say, well, I'm not involved with politics. No, you don't be involved. If somebody's working on your car and is doing a terrible job on your car, you pay them to fix your car. And so you will have a little bit more responsibility, also more standard, to say, hold them accountable. Say, hey, if you can't fix my car, I got to get somebody else to fix my car.
Yeah, but I like that statement. I always have heard that, in the political world, they work for you. I went up to Lansing. I took the girls up to Lansing, actually, and it was Senator Santana.
Yep.
Yep. She had a busload. She allowed the girls to come up, and she said that. She said, "We work for you. You know, you are always welcome to come up here." And on the bus ride home, one of the girls said, "Well, what does she mean? She works for us." So I was telling them, I started with telling them, well, first of all, we have to know what it is that we want.
Absolutely.
We have to know the things that we need, and we have to be able to communicate that in a respectful manner.
Absolutely.
In a respectful manner. And if we find that our leadership is not doing what they said that they would do, we have to know how to go about making that change.
Absolutely.
And voting is so important. So we'll have voter registration and all of that stuff at our event too. But I love to tell people, you have to do your research.
Absolutely.
And you got to stand by what you believe. And you also got to have an open mind, because regardless of who wins the seat that you're voting for, you have to be able to work with whoever gets in office.
And absolutely. And I think that's a key measure where we have to understand that that's the power of the people, whoever to work with. And then also that person in that seat understand that, hey, I'm an elected official. I don't represent the people that elected me. I represent people that didn't elect me. And so I also represent everybody around the community. And so many times we think the politics is beyond us. No, it's every single day. Things happen every single day.
Yep. And you can learn.
And you can learn.
Definitely learn.
You can definitely learn. This is called, with the outreach that we do, the outreach that you do, community engagement, civic engagement, social studies engagement is always 365.
And, you know, and that's so important because, you know, we have to make certain that people understand, just like I want to congratulate Sherry Gatignogo.
Oh, absolutely.
For winning the appointment from a variety of very, very qualified candidates that were vying to be the city of Detroit ombudsman.
And,
you know, we got to take a quick break, but, you know, we can delve back into that. But I definitely wanted to go and let, you know, the community know how much that's a very, very valued position. And you know,
she's
and I
valued.
Hope and pray
she's very valued.
that everybody comes to her support, you know, in that position as well. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Kimberly Clements, Norman Clement, I'm Darwin Griffin, and we'll be right back with Truth to Power.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Muscles, joints, or feet tired, achy, or distressed? Tried everything? Ringmaster Rubbing Oil is a vintage topical pain reliever, trusted for over 70 years, with a rich formula for the treatment of stubborn aches and pains. Packaged in a glass bottle for purity, our liquid can also be used in warm water for foot soaks and compresses. A little goes a long way. Try our time-tested formula, available in several sizes.
Make a donation to WHPR-TV and receive 2 2-ounce bottles of Ringmaster Rubbing Oil for $25. Call 313-868-6612.
Every Monday through Friday from 12 noon to 3 p.m., it's the Tavis Smiley Show, distributed by R.J. Watkins Studios.
Clean up on aisle 5. Sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind, and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabri, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help.
For more information, go to treasurer.waynecounty.com.
We're here to help.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Claudine Jackson thought she had it all until she was faced with the challenges of raising an autistic child. Inspired by autism is her brutally honest journey, filled with heartbreak and triumph. Get your copy and find the support you deserve today by visiting www.claudinejackson.tv.
To the I Love the Hustle show, Saturday afternoons at 12 p.m., followed by Mr. Smooth's Ballroom and Steppers Express Dance Show on WHPR 15.2 Detroit, Apple TV, Roku, and many streaming platforms. See you Saturday.
This November 1st, the Masonic Temple comes alive with Mighty Love, a Detroit salute to Hall of Fame icons, the Spinners. Join us for an unforgettable evening featuring top Detroit talent and special guests honoring the group's legendary sound and legacy. Doors open at 7 p.m. Tickets available online and at the Masonic Temple box office. Be there for Mighty Love, a Detroit tribute to the Spinners. You don't want to miss it.
Block time is available. Get yours. Call 313-868-6612. That's 313-868-6612. Executive producer R.J. Watkins. Program director Henry Tyler. 107.5 FM. WGPR HD3. RadioWeCanSee.com.
Welcome back. You are watching a special edition of Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, along with Kimberly Clemens and Norman Clem. And we were just talking during the break about Kimberly's event coming up this coming Sunday, and how, Kimberly, you had a couple of asks, and I'll let you say that to the viewing audience, that you want to definitely make certain that people understand you got the gun locks, because we know that's something that we want to curb some of this violence in the community, and the gun locks will help in terms of, say, keep those guns out of the hands of persons that don't know how to use them and maybe using them for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely. And DPD does a great job with supplying those gun locks. And, I just got tired of seeing those news stories with our babies, being shot or killed, by those guns. So my question was, what else can I do? So when I have an event, to have those things like that are really, really important, to me. And then it is voter season.
Yes, ma'am.
It's time to, think about who you're going to vote for, research who you're going to vote for, and then make that decision to go vote. It doesn't matter who you're voting for, but you got to know voting is extremely important. So I'm so happy that Ms. Dorsine said yes, she's coming out. She'll be able to help sign some people.
Dorsine Wesley.
Dorsine Wesley. Yes, that is. Oh, Ms. Dorsine is amazing. Been knowing her for so many years. She's such a blessing to my entire family. She's a blessing. But to be able to, have people that come out that make a difference, and especially, in this season, I'll never forget serving in the community, and someone came up to me and said, you should become a precinct delegate. And I said, what is that? You know, I had no clue. And they were like, you're already doing it. You know, check it out. Here's the application. So I had to do my research, you know, on it. And I went door to door, you know, asking people to, you know, vote for me to become a precinct delegate. And I had a great time, you know, doing that. Now, you know, I don't live in the city, so I don't say who I'm going to vote for or anything like that. But I love people who run, you know, who have the heart to run and have a, you know, heart for the people. But doing this type of talk and doing this type of showing support, you know, it goes both ways, you know, and the people that are running, I believe they do have a heart, you know, for the people, and they are doing what they can do to get the votes. So the least we can do is get out there and vote.
And you know, and that's the critical part too, Kimberly and Norman, you know, is that we're hoping, because this is not that election that everybody wants to really talk about and be out and about and doing all that. This election matters immensely because of the city council races, the mayoral races, you know, and there's other, you know, ballot initiatives that, you know, out, as well as it's the precursor, because you also have people that may be judges that could be running in elections. You got so many positions that people may think aren't as exciting as the president or, you know, Senate or, you know, the governor's races. But even from school board, even from commissioners, you've got the commissioners, you've got the police commission, you know, so you've got so many different, and the important part too that we tell everybody, turn your ballot over. Yes. Because you don't want to miss somebody that is running. And then lastly, you know, when it comes down to support, whoever gets elected, support them. I know there's a lot of conversations you see on Facebook about this mayoral race in Detroit and who's this, who's that, and, you know, and that kind of thing. But regardless of who wins, still support that person. And then if for some reason that you're not happy or content with that person, that's the reason why we talk about civic engagement. You can vote to elect somebody different if you're not pleased with the person that's in that seat. So that's the key thing that we just need to educate people about, the difference between a commissioner versus a city council person, a superintendent, a trustee. I mean, there's so many, and then the different types of judges, you know, from the district court to the federal courts to the circuit courts. So we need to just educate people, and then to understand the terms of office. Norman, we talked about this so many times before, that now with all this, with the redistricting and some of the things too, candidates that win the election may not serve the length of time that they served their predecessors, maybe back in the day did, you know, and now people need to understand, for state reps, state senators, they have up to 12 years to serve. Whereas before, they could serve like 3 terms of state rep, 3 terms of state senate, you know, and they could do it back to back. Whereas now you have only 12 years to serve in the House or in the Senate. And they could do 6 2-year terms up in the House or 3 4-year terms in the Senate. You know, so it just depends in terms of what they are running for. And then people don't understand too, even like with the mayoral race, how long is the mayor's term of office? How long is the Supreme Court? Some of the nation, you know, the senators, and then people don't know how many senators are in every state. You know, and the interesting part was when we got educated on the fact that some people didn't know Hawaii was a state. They thought that, you know, Hawaii, and they didn't know that Hawaii was a state. You know, it's like I see those little dots on the side of the, you know, California, but I didn't know what that was. And then, so, you know, it's a matter of just educating people.
Absolutely.
On those things.
I remember homeschooling my children, and that was one of the things I took so much pride into teaching them about voting. And we did mock elections and things like that. But that's where I found how important it is for us as parents, aunties, uncles, neighbors, where we can make a difference in our own home and stop putting it out, the school should be doing this or these people. No, we should be teaching our children. Because back in the day, remember, you could tell our generation, they died for us to vote. Right. That worked for us. It doesn't work for that younger generation.
Absolutely. And what works for them is that they need to see tangible evidence of their votes working. And that means they want to see, okay, we voted for somebody to put in to beautify the downtown. They did that, but they also want to beautify the neighborhood. And so people are getting apathetic about that. I think this time is that there is so many ways to vote now in the state of Michigan. Early voting's already started. August 25th, you go to early voting locations anywhere. Come in, you can register to vote and vote on same day.
How cool is that?
Yeah, we didn't have those. People organized, fought, petitioned, and it got passed, and then it's now a state law.
And then there's a difference now, even with the absentee voters now for the absentee ballots. About not having to give a whole lot of reasons for why you want to absentee ballot.
Because I sure got mine because I'm serving on that day.
Yes.
I said I wanted to know what that process is like. And somebody sent me an email and asked, do you want to work the polls on that day? I'm like, yeah, I want to work the polls. I want to see what that process is like.
And if you ever work the polls or work the polls, I've worked the polls. I've done challenging. And I tell people, if you ever work the polling locations and you see how the process works, one, your vote matters.
Yeah.
Your vote matters. Oh, it don't matter. I said, no, it does.
It matters.
It matters. And two, you see the elections are fair. Now, that's how many people voted that day. That's how it works. And so seeing it in real life, you see it, you say, oh, wow, this process works. So it does
the
matter.
Process. Yeah, seeing the process. But the most sad part to me of the entire day is the numbers.
Yep.
That is the most sad part because it blew me away. You couldn't have told me 13 people will come in and vote out of a whole precinct.
Yeah, and it's sad because you looked at, okay, we'll see if, let me look at people who voted early. Oh, wait a minute, man. These people didn't early vote or they didn't do absentee ballot voting, or maybe some districts they may. And that's the disheartening part about it. But after the election happens, man. I said, wait a minute, everybody. How they won? Who won? How they get all this? I said, well, did you vote?
Mm-mm.
Are you mad? Are you screaming all you want? I'm mad at the school. I said, wait a minute, did you vote? Well, I didn't like. I said, well, look, we do a lot of things we don't like. A lot of people don't like going to work. A lot of people don't like driving down the street to get gas. You do a lot of things that are uncomfortable for you.
Don't like sitting in the drive-thru.
Right. And so,
but I do it.
Yeah, you do it. Because at the end, the end justifies the means. You have to participate. And this is a participation work. A lot of other countries, there's no option. If you go to Brazil, other nations, it is 100% mandatory that you have to vote.
Go to Africa.
Oh, you better vote. You ain't vote. Oh, that's a crime.
Well, see, but it's so sad because sometimes when you look at the city of Detroit, it's divided up into 7 districts, and some districts vote in a higher propensity than other districts do. But as Norman, you did a lot when it came down to the redistricting part, for the city and the state, really, looking in terms of say about how they tried to kind of merge some low voting areas with some higher voting areas, some democratically held areas with the Republican areas. So it's like just the interesting part. But Norman, I know we don't have that much more time left because these 2 hours go by real fast.
Well, yeah.
Kimberly, when you do your show, you'll see how a lot of times it goes by real fast. But the thing is that let's talk about with this government shutdown and what kind of impact that has on residents, not just here in the state of Michigan, but pretty much like all over the country.
Well, we're in the national government shutdown. Impasse could not be met, and so right now your basic services, folks who they will still be serviced, but the folks who are working are not getting paid. Right now,
that's the TSA
agents, the post office workers, some of your fighting forces overseas here. Your government workers are not getting paid. Government contracts will probably not get paid. Also, unfortunately, it deals with reporting. And so right now, a jobs report was supposed to be come out today. We don't know the jobs report. So those implications are out there.
So now, is Social Security affected?
Social Security, I think it may be affected. I'm not sure, because other administrations, they put measures into secure Social Security. But with the government cuts and with the bill passing of the big bill they passed, some of those cuts may be affected.
What about veterans?
Veteran status, some of those services may be affected.
And see, one of the things that they're doing too with this new administration is that they're ending, from my understanding, and I could be wrong, but I've got this from reliable sources, they're ending the paper checks that received, like when Social Security would send out the checks and people be standing at the mail box, waiting to get their Social Security check. Now they're trying to encourage people to get accounts in their banks so that they can have the debit card and that money can be loaded into debit cards, as opposed to issuing out the mail.
I get that, but some of our seniors, some of our veterans like to have a check in hand, and so they have a paper trail. Say if a system gets hacked or your account gets hacked, and it does happen, then what? Also, but there should be an option for our government to do both things. I think, doing electronic on everything is not really a good idea. Because again, our veterans who are war heroes who fought, they have a certain process. That certain process should be followed. You should respect those veterans, our senior citizens who have put their time and paid their money into the system. Their Social Security should come out and understand Social Security is a service that you already paid for. For the years of work that you put in.
So let's talk a little bit about the cuts now when you're talking about the state shutdown that Governor Whitmer, pretty much like gave an extension, of like 7 days. Mm-hmm. But what were some of the sticking points that the Republicans had versus what the Democrats had?
Well, the Republican sticking point is that they want to see how expenditures will pay for the roads. The problem is we already paid for the roads when we agreed to a tax increase in our licensings and our tags. So the extra dollars in our money that we pay in our tags for our cars, for you to get your state license ID, that extra tax funds the roads already. And so this notion of, well, we got to bring down these roads. We're going to cut the CVI programs. We're going to cut all the additional services that with
CVI, that's the crime
violence intervention programs, the gun violence programs that we have going on. Those programs that actually help the state, that help the city of Detroit, not just Detroit, other rural counties area to cut crime down to 40%. They want to cut those programs. And so their thing is we got to fund the roads. What is the point of funding a road where crime is going up? You could prevent a death, but which the roads already funded and paid for. And so right now they passed a version again in the House with some negotiation. I'm not sure it's going to get through the Democratic Senate on time. We'll see what happens. But the other bigger issue with the federal government, they had a lot of cuts in Medicaid and Medicare programs, which affects the affordable health care plans also, but also the rural hospitals. They're in the suburbs of Macomb, Oakland County. Those rural hospitals already have been shutting down already because those funds are not coming. And so they already have made those decisions. And so, like I said again, it's going to be interesting. The budgets are happening with the tariffs are coming on. It's going to be kind of tight. And tax breaks for not millionaires. The tax breaks are going to the billionaires. Even millionaires are feeling the heat that what's going on in our community right now, especially our farmers. And so it is tight here. And so that's why I say elections matter. All elections matter.
Absolutely.
Every last one election matter. Even you elected somebody to be police commissioner or a write-in for your clerk's office out there in Southfield, every election matters. The notion of anyone that comes online or TV that says elections don't matter, they a dead lie, because we see the effects of an election that folks told you that don't matter.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the things I know in the community that Kimberly lives in. She hosted a candidate forum in the community she lives in. And I was telling her it's impactful that she had the mayor of the community she lives in to come out to her house
right,
and actually sit there and talk to her and some of the other candidates.
Right.
That's why I was telling Kimberly, shoot, that's important right there.
Yeah.
And I think your husband even, he agreed that, yes, to have the mayor to come out to your house, to support what the initiative you were doing in your community, that's impactful.
And I only thought about it as a big deal when you said something, because for me, I wanted to find out the information, and then instead of me listening to what somebody else says about who the mayor is or who the candidates are, my thing is invite them. So I didn't get a lot of mailings, but the ones I did get, I called them and asked them would they come out, and they agreed. And when they came, they shared their heart, and that was the whole goal, is for them to share their heart so people can understand who they are and make a choice to vote.
Absolutely. And those things are just something that you could do. Also with Sherry's appointment, I gotta say congratulations to her. Yes. They picked a perfect person for the job, who is very, very, to me, she's always been overqualified, but she knows policy, she knows people, she knows organizations, she knows business, and also she is from the community and she cares.
Absolutely.
And someone in that position that cares is not going to be just, I can tell right now, it's not just about downtown. It's going to be our town, our city, and someone is going to come in and actually take a careful look at it and how government works. I think Detroit is in the perfect place where they picked the perfect job.
And tell Norman, Kimberly, tell our viewing audience, because everybody, they see the lexicon of all these different titles, all these different positions and everything. But when you say that word ombudsman, some people, what does that mean? What is the Detroit City Ombudsman?
That person really dictates the business of the city of Detroit. So she looks at contracts, how everything is issued, and pretty much oversees that and how people are getting involved with it. The day-to-day works what goes on, making sure that Detroiters are owned by the city council, but the state electors are only going by what goes with the codes of the city. And so honoring the charter, honoring the mandates of everything, and making sure everyone is above board. They picked the perfect person for that.
Yeah, and she's a person, like when you watch her, she's not afraid to speak up.
Absolutely not.
She will speak up for you.
Mm-hmm.
She will speak up for what's right. She don't stand for stuff that's not right.
And she don't tell you the truth, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely.
She'll tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. She loves you.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from love.
Sometimes, you got to realize, just like from parents, just like from grandparents, just like even from teachers and other folks, it's coming from a love, and it's like when you talk about criticism, sometimes you can get the constructive, but you also get the destructive, criticism, but you have to be able to discern, as being, a chaplain, the power of discernment when it comes to the people that you talk to.
Yeah.
But I know we've got about 10 minutes left in this, in the show, and I just want to ask Norman, I know you've been on the show with me multiple times, but, I don't want to put Kimberly out there and ask her first, since you've done it so many times
Ask me
before.
First.
But what is it, Kimberly, that I'll say then, that you would like to leave our viewing audience today? Because also, I just want to say, on behalf of RJ Watkins Broadcasting, WHPR, our hearts, our prayers, our condolences go out to the families of people that were affected in that tragic, shooting, and the burning of that church out in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Because I know when I turned on attempting to look at something on TV, and then I see that going, and all of the news outlets and everybody was, involved in that you would think that Sunday you would be able to go to a place of worship and not think that something like that would happen, like that. Yeah. What kind of impact did that have on you, Kimberly, being in a religious community when you saw that?
The first thing I thought about was those children that were, in the church, innocent children, just going to church like a regular Sunday, because whether the parents made them or they wanted to go, that's a place of safety. I think about the world as it is today. The Bible does not lie. These are the times that we're in. They're getting worse. It seems like it's getting worse. So the impact that it had on me is, I don't care how much more you try to prepare to be aware, some stuff you just cannot even fathom that it's going to happen in your lifetime.
Yeah. What was your impression?
My impression was that, seeing these babies come out, dealing with that trauma. And I did an interview about this, a press conference about that. And what shocked me was one question was, well, this is part of American culture. And I said, no, it's not. It should be a part of America's culture. It angers me that, we don't we see a problem, we refuse to fix it, we refuse to ignore it. And also I was thinking about that's what the family that's been affected, but how many cries to help that veteran called out for help wasn't there.
Yeah.
Both of them. And so these are the things we're thinking about as far as the services that we need to provide. Are we doing the best job as a country, as a people, as an organization to take care of those who are very vulnerable and most exposed?
Yeah, and that was the thing, because I know Kimberly, being a veteran, your husband's a veteran, in terms of there's, when people talk about PTSD and talk about, we have to wrap our arms around the veterans and, with some of the things that they had to witness, some of the things that they had to do, even as veterans, PTSD is real.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of impact that, in the minds of a lot of our veterans. But, it was just sad to see, what had happened. And I know, our hearts, our prayers definitely go out to the families, that were affected, by that. But we've got a couple minutes left. I'm going to give you, Kimberly, since you said, let you make a closing comment, and then normally I'll let you make a closing comment before we wrap up.
Well, I just want to say thank you both. It's very comfortable sitting, with the two of you. And I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to be on the show, and then to also have Chats and Chuckles come here, to be, under the icon here with RJ Watkins, and the team. I know this is something that God has opened the door for me, to do. So I'm going to do a great job. And I'm looking for sponsors. I'm looking for people to support, people to come on the show. So definitely reach out to me. And the show will be starting this month.
All right.
So please just stay tuned. Please be very kind. I love to say be very kind. But there is a lot that people have to say, whether you've seen them, on TV or seen them at different functions. There are a lot of people in the community that you have not seen that I believe that people need to know about.
And give the name of your organization again, and if they want to donate to your organization or they want to get more information, give your contact information.
My organization is The Girls Factory. My website is www.iamthegirlsfactory.org. My email is iamthegirlsfactory@gmail.com. And I want to say thank you so much for just, especially the parents, allowing their daughters, to come and be with our organization. People trust you with their children. That's a huge, huge thing, especially nowadays. So I appreciate that, and all the people that come out. The event that we're hosting this Sunday, October the 5th, it will be from 11 to 2. And I thank all of the vendors. I thank all of the people that helped me put this together, especially Chlois Foster. She's a gem in my life and in the community. And all of the people at Garden View, the seniors, the parents, the children that will come out and receive what we have for them. I'm very, very grateful.
Norman? Again, I encourage everyone, if you received your ballot in the mail, please open it, vote, sign, fill out both sides, put it back in the drop box. I always say to use the drop boxes around the city of Detroit and get out to vote. Early voting starts October 25th. They have a big event down Midtown at the clerk's office, entertainment, music, vendors, and also food. So again, from that date on, and then November 4th is election day. And so election day is open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You could go vote in person if you feel like you need, but make sure you go vote. And then also after that, we still got work to do. The midterms come in.
So give real quick while we wrap up, give your information about your organization.
So our organization is Detroit Change Initiative. You can see us on the website at www.dcimovement.org, or you reach out to us at info@dcimovement.org. And so we'll be in the communities outreaching people and working on folks and then going from there.
And I am proud to be a friend of Kimberly Killemans, and I'm proud to be a friend of Norman Clement. So we are going to take our break, and we'll see you next Friday, same time, same station. So have a very peaceful and loving and blessed weekend.